Okay, so aggregate equilibrium video 2 is on aggregate equilibrium shifts. Okay, so now we have aggregate demand and aggregate supply together, and we're going to do shifts of the curves like we've done before. Okay, so we know the shifters. If you're not 100% on the shifters, maybe go ahead and pause this video, spend a couple minutes reviewing your notes, and then close your notebook, or I guess turn to a blank page to do these practice graphs so that you can try to quiz yourself and do them for the shifters from memory. Okay, so go ahead and take a quick second and sketch yourself the basic graph, right? So we have price level, real GDP as the labels. We have economy, we have upward sloping short run aggregate supply, downward sloping aggregate demand, and then Y1, PL1. Okay, so you can do all of this before you know anything about the story. You should do that. Okay, you ready for a story? Okay, so this could have just an aggregate demand shifter, it could have just an aggregate supply shifter, or it could have both. Okay. Okay, so if people are worried about a recession and oil prices are falling, okay, people are worried about a recession and oil prices are falling. Then take a second, write your shifters and sketch it. So people are worried about a recession and oil prices are falling. People are worried about a recession and oil prices are falling. People are worried about a recession and oil prices are falling. Okay, so oil prices are a major input price or resource price. Okay, so change in input price or change in resource price or resource cost is great for the aggregate supply shifter. Okay, so if oil prices are lower, it's easier to produce. So SRAS1 to SRAS2, sorry, it's hard to see. Shift it out. Okay, and Y2. Oops. Okay. Y2. PL2. Okay. So input price, and then nope, sorry. I got excited about that. Yep. We don't change we don't do equilibrium points until after we've done all the shifts. Okay. So people are worried about a recession, so change in expected business cycle or expectations about the business cycle. Change in expectation of I ran out of space, but change in expectation of business cycle. Okay. So people expect a recession. They save more today because they're worried about losing their jobs. AD2, arrow in. SRAS2, AD2. PL2, Y2. Okay. So your price level falls, real GDP is indeterminate. Right? Remember, it doesn't stay the same. It's indeterminate. We don't know how it's going to change. Okay? So, down, question mark. Okay? Question mark. We don't know how it's changing. Okay? Next one. Okay, so draw yourself another graph setup. So PL, real GDP, short and aggregate supply, aggregate demand, PL1, Y1. Okay. All right, on this one, productivity increases because firms had built lots of new capital. Okay, productivity increases because firms had built a lot of new capital. Okay, productivity increases because firms had built a lot of new capital. Firms had built a lot of new capital. So, firms had built a lot of new capital, so productivity increases, right? So productivity increasing is an aggregate supply shifter, right? So it's going to be easier to produce. Shift out. Okay. SRAS2. Okay. And there's no demand shifter. Okay. It's just the higher productivity. Okay. So when there's a single shift, you know how both change. So price level falls, real GDP increases. Okay, so then we have go ahead and draw your next graph here. Oh yeah, we need the shifter, which is change in productivity. Okay, change in productivity. Okay, then last one is the interest rate falls and workers demand raises because they expect inflation. Okay, the interest rate falls and workers demand raises because they expect inflation. Okay, the interest rate falls and workers demand raises because they expect inflation. Okay, interest rate falls and workers demand raises because they expect inflation. Okay, the interest rate falls. Okay, so it's going to be cheaper to borrow. Okay, so consumers or firms that were thinking about borrowing are now gonna say that's awesome, right? Yay, I'm gonna borrow and buy a new car, or I'm gonna borrow and build new capital. Okay, workers demand raises because they expect inflation. Okay, it's an aggregate supply shifter of change in resource cost or input cost. Okay, right, so the workers ask for a raise, it's harder to produce. Okay, so again, we have y1 and y2 in the same place, but that doesn't mean they're the same. It means they are indeterminate, okay? And then price level is risen, so I'm going to erase this. Okay, so PL1 to PL2, price level has risen, and quantity change is indeterminate, okay? Though, of course, you could have a shift where real GDP increases and price levels indeterminate, and we can do some of those in other practice. All right, good job, guys.